All right, let's talk about something small, something you probably never think about, but it has a massive impact on how your car feels every single time you drive. We're going to break down steering rack preload.
And to get us started, let's dive right into a problem I'm sure some of you have felt. It's that weird looseness, that little bit of slop in the steering. Brian Miata here puts it perfectly. I slowly started noticing that I was starting to have a little bit of play in my steering wheel. Sound familiar? So, let's talk about that annoying steering slop. Because, that feeling of play is so much more than just an annoyance. It's a real warning sign that something's off, that the connection between your hands on the wheel and the tires on the road is just not what it should be. It's that feeling, right? You jiggle the steering wheel a little bit, but the car's wheels, they don't move at all. It's like there's this delay, this dead zone right in the middle where your inputs just disappear into the void. Absolutely nothing happens.
And it's not just that looseness. Other symptoms can pop up too. Maybe your car starts to wander a bit on straight roads, or you hear this knocking or clunking sound when you turn. You might even feel a vibration right through the steering wheel. Now, it's really easy to mistake this for worn-out tie rods or ball joints, but a lot of the time, the real culprit is hiding much deeper. And trust me, knowing what to look for can save you a major headache.
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we need to go inside the steering rack. We've got to pinpoint the mechanical cause, and that means looking at the heart and soul of your steering system, the rack and pinion.
So here's how it works. The rack and pinion is basically the piece of equipment that turns the rotation of your steering wheel into the side-to-side movement that actually turns your tires. You've got this little gear, the pinion, connected to your steering wheel, and it meshes with a long-toothed bar, the rack. As you turn the wheel, the pinion spins and pushes the rack left to right. Simple, right? But incredibly effective.
So what's the actual mechanical problem causing all that slop? Well, it has a name, backlash. Think of it as a tiny, tiny little gap or clearance between the teeth of the rack and the pinion. It's there because of manufacturing tolerances, and it gets worse with wear over time. At first, it's nothing, but as that gap grows, it becomes a real noticeable problem.
Okay, so we have this problem, this backlash. But here's the really cool part. Engineers came up with a fantastic solution to get rid of it. This is where we get to the whole point of this explainer. What is rack preload?
So steering rack preload, what is it? Well, you can think of it as a controlled, constant force that's always pushing the rack gear right up against the pinion gear. It's all about removing that extra space, that backlash, but, and this is key, without causing so much friction that the parts start to grind and bind up. It's a delicate balance. And how do they do this? With a pretty simple but brilliant little mechanism. You've got a few key parts. There's a preload adjusting screw, a spring, a little plunger or pad, and a lock nut to hold it all in place. The spring is the magic ingredient here. It keeps a constant pressure on everything, so even as the parts wear down over the miles, the system kind of self-compensates to keep that perfect tension. And oh man, this is a perfect illustration of theory versus reality. On the left, you see the beautiful, clean engineering diagram of how this whole preload adjuster works. And on the right, that's what it actually looks like after spending a few years under a car, covered in grime and rust. Same part, just one has definitely lived a harder life.
All right, so let's get into finding the sweet spot. Because fixing this isn't just about cranking down on a screw until it feels tight. No. It's all about finding that critical balance, that Goldilocks zone, where everything is just right. And this is so important. If you don't have enough preload, if it's too loose, you get all those problems we started with. Steering play, clunking noises, just bad accuracy. But if you go too far and make it too tight, that's even worse. The steering gets super heavy, the wheel won't return to center after a turn, and you start doing serious damage, accelerating wear on the rack and pinion and even overloading the power steering pump. Honestly, over-tightening is the bigger danger here, for sure.
So yeah, to boil it all down, too loose, and the car just feels unsafe and sloppy. But too tight, you're literally causing damage. You're creating a ton of friction and heat, which will just chew up and destroy the steering components.
Which brings us right to the big question. Why does all this precision matter so much? What's the link between this tiny little gap and your total control of the car?
Well, the level of precision we're talking about here is just microscopic. I mean, look at this. Engineering diagrams will specify these incredibly tight tolerances, sometimes as small as 0.004 of an inch. That's thinner than a piece of paper. That's how exact this needs to be for everything to work right.
Because getting this adjustment right isn't just about feel. It's fundamental to your safety. It's what ensures your steering is predictable.
It's what prevents a sudden steering lockup. It keeps the car stable. It's what allows the wheel to self-center naturally after a turn. And of course, it drastically reduces long-term wear. So when you get this right, you get that confident, connected to the road feeling we all love.
So, the next time you're out for a drive and you feel that direct, responsive connection through the steering wheel, you can thank the incredible, precise engineering of Preload. It's a perfect example of a tiny, hidden detail that makes all the difference. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? What other hidden adjustments are absolutely crucial for the things we use every single day?